In the headlines, the country gets more ventilators and oxygen concentrators to be used especially in the hinterland as the battle against COVID-19 continues. The chief elections officer now faces 6 more charges. Sophia residents welcome President Ali as he outlines plans for the development of the area. Tens of millions to be spent on the development of the island of Guyana. And in sport, Akim Green and panel reflect on the Lakers' 17th NBA championship win last evening. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. We're glad you can join us. First up, the Ministry of Health Monday afternoon received 26 more ventilators and 24 oxygen concentrators to help critical COVID-19 patients. The government of India, which has together committed US $1 million to Guyana to fight COVID-19, handed over 21 ventilators to Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony, while PAHO WHO resident representative Dr. Louise Cardina handed over 5 ventilators and 24 oxygen concentrators.
What we are going to do with these equipment is not just to have them at the Georgetown Hospital, but we are also going to decentralize some of these equipment. Our intention is to have some capacity at the regional hospitals as well as the Georgetown Public Hospital. In addition to that, over the last 2 or 3 days, we have been working to get the ICU at the Ocean View facility up and running. So some of this equipment would also go to the Ocean View facility. We are extremely pleased that today we are receiving a number of oxygen concentrators. And why this is important? Because the Ministry of Health, we spend literally millions of dollars in oxygen for our patients. And we have to buy these oxygen in cylinders and then put it to the hospital, and it costs millions and millions of dollars. What these machines would do for us is that it takes air, ordinary air, and would convert that or concentrate that into oxygen. And so what comes out of the machine is oxygen. So from ordinary air, we are able to produce oxygen for our patients. This would be extremely helpful in the interior of our country, especially places like in Region 1, Region 7, Region 8, and Region 9, where it is challenging for us to take oxygen into those communities. So by having these oxygen concentrators, it would help us greatly with our patients who would need that type of service.
India really is taking the role of a world leader in fighting COVID. Our Prime Minister Modi has been at the forefront, and we have so far helped over 100 countries in combating COVID through medical supplies, supplies of PPEs, and now India is at the forefront of working on the vaccine. Currently there are 3 vaccines in various phases of the trials, and we believe that in early 2021 we should have a working vaccine. As you all know, this pandemic has changed the way the world has to proceed, and the Indian healthcare and pharma industry has been at the forefront of meeting this challenge.
As you know, this is a pandemic, so to have all this material, all this medical equipment, it's a really difficult process of purchase, because all the countries in the world are buying this kind of material, so it's not easy to have, and it's very important to have all the support in terms of financial, to have the possibility to access of this medical equipment. The freight of this equipment to arrive to Guyana also is very expensive. It's one of the most higher that we saw in the history, because there is a small groups that are working in this kind of transportation all around the world. So I think it's very important, and it's an important issue that Guyana has this all this material and all this medical equipment to be better prepared to take care of all the Guyanese people that has infected or is in a bad situation in terms of the COVID-19.
We tell you now that Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield is now preparing his defense for fresh charges of forgery and misconduct in public office, for which he was charged with on Monday, but is related to his conduct and involvement in the March 2nd, 2020 elections and the events that followed after. Already facing 3 private criminal charges relating to electoral fraud, Guyana's Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield was Monday afternoon slapped with 6 additional charges, this time coming from the Guyana Police Force. Lowenfield, who went to the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters voluntarily around noon on Monday, was later arrested and then taken to the Georgetown Magistrates Court in handcuffs to answer to the new charges. The 6 charges include 3 counts of misconduct in public office and 3 counts of forgery. Although the prosecution objected to bail, Lowenfield was granted his pre-trial liberty in the sum of $50,000 in each charge, a total of $300,000 on the 6 charges. The matter will be called again at 9:45 on October 23, 2020 for disclosure of statements. Lowenfield continues to be represented by attorneys Neil Boston and Nigel Hughes. Hughes said based on his own speculation, the charges by the police were made so as to have more impact than the private criminal charges against Lowenfield.
And this could only be speculation on my part. I think what has happened is that where you have private criminal charges, they perhaps lack the same impact as charges that have been recommended by the state, in this case the Director of Public Prosecutions. My personal view is that the intention is perhaps to have Mr. Lowenfield and the deputy removed from the substantive positions. And so by the filing of charges, there will be a basis upon which I assume the Elections Commission will consider, I'm assuming, an application for them to be either suspended from office or not acting.
In relation to the private criminal charges already before Lowenfield, that trial is set to start on October 26. On August 14, the case filed against Lowenfield was postponed until August 24th, as lawyers were then awaiting a decision from the Director of Public Prosecution on whether she will agree with submissions made by counsel to drop the charges against him. The charges against Lowenfield were filed on June 30 by People's Progressive Party member Desmond Morian and member of the New Movement Daniel Josh Kanai, relating to fraud, misconduct in office, a breach of the public's trust by providing results of the March 2nd election which he knows to be false. Lowenfield first appeared in court in July 24, where he was granted $450,000 bail, $150,000 bail on each charge. Lowenfield came under scrutiny for preparing his elections report on March 5, which showed a victory for the incumbent APNU-AFC coalition based on fraudulent and inflated figures provided by Clermont Mingo, the returning officer for Guyana's largest voting district, Region 4. The national recount proved that Mingo inflated votes in favor of the coalition, and it was the PPP that actually won the March 2nd elections by over 15,000 votes. The PPP has maintained that Lowenfield knew the true winner of the elections since he received statements of poll from all of the polling stations across the country. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom. A Dowd Street, Campbellville, Georgetown man was Sunday evening killed after he reportedly lost control of his motorcycle and fell on the road, resulting in several injuries, including a punctured lung and lacerations about his body, police headquarters has reported. Dead is Marlon Fetuk, 40. He was a member of the Sonic Hunters Motorcycle Club. The incident occurred at Sunday at around 17:45 hours on the Diamond Public Road, East Bank Demerara, in the vicinity of DDL. Police said their initial inquiry suggests that motorcycle CG3100 was proceeding north along the western carriageway of Diamond Public Road, East Bank Demerara, at a fast rate of speed when the driver lost control and fell onto the road surface. He was picked up in a conscious condition by the police and escorted to the St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, where he was seen and examined by a doctor on duty and later transferred to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where he was further seen and examined by a doctor on duty and admitted as a patient in the Accident and Emergency Unit. He later succumbed to his injuries while receiving attention. The body of the deceased is presently in the Georgetown Public Hospital mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. A 29-year-old woman of Belvedere Village, Curtin Berbice, was on Sunday morning killed in an accident on the Sewell Public Road, Curtin Berbice. According to her mother, Radha Shivrachan left home to run a short errand with her friend Kerry Harry, 36. Shivrachan was the pillion rider on Kenny's motorcycle CK4094. Police said Ted Harry lost control of the motorcycle and collided with a steel rail on the northern side of the road. As a result, they were flung from the motorcycle and received multiple injuries about their bodies. Shivrachan was pronounced dead by doctors on duty, while Harry was admitted suffering from a fractured right leg and is in a stable condition.
It wasn't long before the accident. I think the accident happened when I came around 12 or something. I think it was just like half an hour before this accident, man. What time I left out yesterday? Anytime I think it was like around 11:30 time or so, man. I wasn't late, but within half an hour, here she ended up in the accident.
Did she tell you where she was going?
She just going on the road and get something and come back.
Okay.
She never take long. Just come back. I was eating. We fried bake. By the time we finished eating the bake, she's supposed to get the bake. She left me fry the bake, so it wasn't long because by the time we finished eating the bake, if careful, I said that right. So it was like just a half an hour difference. I just heard the accident that she collapsed in a motorbike accident. Different people say different things, so I mean, I don't know which actually correct because I wasn't there. She was an agile person, very friendly, have a lot of company, outside company, like she have a lot of boyfriend, a lot of girlfriend, but she's friendly. She was planning to leave just after the Diwali to go to to get married and shit like that. Because their relationship with Sheena and Trera is over 6 years. It's actually going to 7 years. So they have planned the wedding and after that to move on with their life. But because of the coronavirus, it pulled them back. But both of them really love each other. They have a wonderful relationship. And I was happy about it. They was happy. The boyfriend, everybody really liked Radha. The boyfriend loved Radha so much. He loved the child even so much.
A mother of three is pleading for the public's assistance to cover the cost of radiation for her 15-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor. Shelley Balkaran said it has been over 1 year since she is fighting to save her eldest child, Shanice Nanho, but the teen's condition is deteriorating. So far, the chemotherapy has not worked, pushing the doctors at the Cancer Institute of Guyana to try radiation. Balkaran was this morning told that the treatment will cost $1.3 million, but the family has spent all of their savings over the past year. Anyone wishing to donate can contact Shelley Balkaran on 692-4045.
It was last year, July. She woke up with the eyes swollen a little bit. So I suggested it was just a cold. And I waited 1 week and it wasn't going down. And then I see the jaw was swollen. So I figured maybe it's a tooth infection, which would basically affect the whole one side of the face. And that was when we took her to a dentist. We took her, one dentist said she did have a cavity with an infection. And he treated her with antibiotics like for 5 days. And we see it was swelling more. So we went to another dentist. And when he see it, he referred us to see a family doctor. Well, we didn't take it seriously because we hold out that it was a cavity or something in the mouth. And then one night she started to cry for pain. So we took her into the emergency, that's in St. Kitts. And when we took her in there, they treat her like she has an eye infection, but the pain was severe. And they told me to bring her back in the next morning to go see the specialist, the eye specialist. So we came, myself and her dad, we took her. And when we go, that was when they picked up that there's a tumor. At that time, we never knew it was cancerous. My daughter was the perfect child. She don't even answer me back. We get lots of help to do fundraising, send us to Jamaica. Jamaica is where we found out how bad it was. It was rhabdomyosarcoma. It wasn't just a tumor, it is also breaking the bones as it's passing through. I heard free chemo, I can get help. So I came, and we were there for a few months. And then in February, she had the bleeding start out from the nose. There was an abscess there. And, I've been there, the chemo, I see it didn't help. So then Dr. Gov't, right from the Cancer Institute, she took over her. And we were seeing improvement even up to May. The tumor went down. And the last 2 cycles she had 16 cycles. We did CT scans, we doing MRI, everything they call we did. And even till yesterday, I'm fighting a battle that I think I have like big chances. Only this morning I have basically nothing, but I'm not giving up. Because the cancer is attacking the other eye. This morning I found out that it's there. The doctors showed me. They wanted me to make the decision if we go ahead with the radiation. So I asked, what's my option? And she said, actually there's no option, because surgery is not possible at this moment, and definitely the chemo is not working. So he gave us there an estimation of $1.3 million. That includes about 30-something cycles. As a mother, any assistance I would accept.
When the newsroom returns, the country's 2 main airports reopen and President Irfan Ali visits Sophia and outlines plans for the area. Watching the newsroom. The Eugene F. Correa Airport at Ogle and the Cheddi Jagan International Airport at Tumor, which serve as the country's 2 international airports, reopened on Monday to commercial flights with strict COVID-19 measures in place. Persons desirous of traveling to Guyana, however, still have to present a negative PCR COVID-19 test result on arrival.
After close to 7 months, the government has reopened the Eugene F. Correa International and the Cheddi Jagan International Airports to commercial flights. According to Minister of Public Works, Juan Echel, all passengers will be required to present a negative COVID-19 PCR test on arrival, which was taken at least 7 days prior to travel. However, those with results less than 3 days old will be allowed to bypass the second test at the airport.
For passengers desirous of traveling to Guyana, they will be required to do a PCR COVID-19 test within 7 days of travel. If the PCR test is done within 72 hours of travel, the passenger will not be required to do another PCR test on arrival. If the PCR test is done between 4 to 7 days of travel, the passenger will be required to do a PCR test on arrival.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, in his remarks disseminated by the Department of Public Information, said swabbing will be done at the airports, while the PCR test, which passengers arrived with, will be validated by local authorities to ensure they are authentic.
And so we have put the necessary mechanisms in place for you to have that second test at the airport. We will be able to do the swabbing, and then we'll do the analysis. And while that is being done, you will have to remain at the airport. And once we confirm the results and that you are negative, then you will be allowed to leave the airport.
Previously, the airports were only opened to cargo flights, repatriation, medical evacuation, and special authorized flights. President Irfan Ali on Sunday noted that the decision to reopen the airports must be taken to ensure the economy functions.
Our country remains, along with the rest of the world, under the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. We must learn to both live with it and deal with it. We're doing everything within our means and with the assistance of the international community to bring it under control. In the meantime, however, we must be able to keep our economy functioning and growing.
The president said he is satisfied that the airports are ready to welcome passengers in keeping with strict COVID-19 rules.
I'm satisfied on the advice of my ministers and the Director General of the Civil Aviation that both our airports are fully prepared and ready to operate in a manner which will ensure the safety of all who work there and pass through them.
Chief Executive Officers of the CJIA Ramishgir and the Eugene F. Karai International Airport, Colonel Retired Anthony Magdisi, said they too are confident that the systems in place are adequate for the restart of commercial flights. Guyana so far confirmed over 3,400 COVID-19 cases and over 100 deaths. Bibi Katoon, Newsroom.
The body of an Essequibo man who drowned at Hamburg Beach on Sunday was recovered Monday morning. The family had gone to the beach for a birthday celebration. Dead is Umal Jaggernaut, 25, of Spring Garden, Essequibo Coast. Jaggernaut and about 25 of his family members left home at about noon for Hamburg Beach in the Essequibo River. On arrival at the said beach, police said most of the family members exited the wooden boat, leaving Jaggernaut and his uncle Randy to moor the boat. After they finished mooring the boat, Jaggernaut said his uncle began to swim to shore, but only Randy reached the shore. The victim didn't and was nowhere in sight, police stated. The family members were alerted and later went in search of Jaggernaut, but they were unable to locate the body. The family members and police returned to the area Monday morning where Jaggernaut's body was recovered. President Irfan Ali has outlined plans for the community of Sophia, Greater Georgetown. The president visited the area on Saturday night.
What is most important for me is to bring this country together.
Yeah. Right. Amen.
And if there are nurses in this area, if there are farmers in this area, I want you to know that you have a president and a government that is willing to work with everybody. Amen. We want, and I'm in here, and I thought it best that I have to lead by example too.
Okay.
And I don't want to send a message to Sophia. I want to come here so you will know I am here with you.
Right. Nice. Yes.
I have a very young, dynamic minister. I have Bishop Egel, and I'm going to ask these ministers to work with you day in, day out. We want to support improved livelihood, improved living condition, but importantly also, we want to support young people. And that is why we are going to set aside, there are 3 play fields. You went through the 3 play fields?
No, I'm not.
There are 3 play fields in Sophia, and we are setting aside money to do all these play fields completely. Because there are a lot of young people. There are a lot of young people in this area. But we don't want to wait until next year for that program to start. So we are setting aside some resources to start with this play field. But importantly, I've asked the minister and to look at how we can ensure the community get their employment from these work. People from the community themselves must work in these developments. That is what we want.
That's nice. Yes.
So another thing we have to do in the cleaning up of the community and drainage work and so on, we're going to engage the community so that the community will be involved. There's a $100 million Guyana dollars program when I have Minister Kwame here too. There's a $100 million program also to improve lighting and security in the community. So we're going to invest that into solar lighting to improve all of this for the community. So tonight, I want to say to you that I'm very grateful to be here. I want you to know that I'll be here many more times.
Meanwhile, residents of Sophia took the opportunity to raise a number of concerns during the visit of President Ali. The president undertook to have the issues addressed.
Dialysis is for me that is 17 boys with a kidney damage and I gotta get help. I need help. I gotta pay
Okay, so you're gonna give us that for us?
We were taking down.
So we'll follow that.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so all right. So what we're gonna do on streets? I know everybody will raise streets, but right now under the IDB program, we have $700 million in streets and roads. Right? So we're going to come, I'm going to let Suzanne come back to the community and highlight all the roads and streets that we'll be doing. Right? And then Bishop Edgell is going to do an assessment of what remains to be done.
How soon that?
I have our commander here too. Where is he? Now, commander is also going to launch a program. We want to launch community programs.
Yeah.
So that the commander MacBean will be working along with you in the communities, so that we can build better relationship, we can help young people, we can identify problems, and we can work on resolving those problems, right?
And we want a police station at the back
we need an outpost or something.
Yes, at the back here. Too much.
After 8 you can't walk. So
Too much. I saw the phone, a back.
Please do something. We can't sleep at all. Thieving too much. Thieving.
All right. So we here.
Jobs for them, man. So that could go and walk and stop.
Okay, so that is exactly training.
So they could go and walk.
We have to train persons.
We need things to do for them to
All
go
right.
and do. We are finite at the time.
So all right. So let me see here the issues. 1, the roads. 2, drainage. 3, security. 4, jobs, job creation. We talk about lights. You'll get the lights, right?
Job.
No, I have those 4.
Please tell them don't forget AFI.
We'd like us to get some standards.
That's what we're going to do now. So here, so listen.
Please.
Where is the engineer?
Corporate the back here need outposts. The police at Sophia station and the thieves are friends. Yes, exactly.
You need to change
They need to change that. Set the police at Torkine station.
All right.
All of them are the thief is friends.
Sunny people that live on the dam, right? Will they get something going on if we got peaceful land?
Well, yeah.
That will be a
Yes, I'm meeting with the persons.
The minister is addressing that. Now listen. Let us not accuse the police and so.
Yes, sir.
Let us. Commander MacBean is going to come, and he will work with you to get the best solution. Okay?
Yes,
we want to bring everybody together.
Yeah, don't make nice. Respect for my president.
All right. So those are the issues that you want to address, right? Now let me tell you something else we'll do. When the housing program starts, there will be need for skilled workers, masons and so on. We can train some people in block making and so on. I will let the Minister of Housing come. They will identify if it's 100 persons from Sophia who we can take a training block making and so on, so that they can get employment, because we have to build 25,000 homes.
Yeah.
We have to create 50,000 house lots. So these are some of the things that we'll be doing.
Yeah.
We are launching 20,000 scholarships.
Wow.
Before the end of our term, we want to make, and not want to, we'll make University of Guyana free. So all young people, everybody can get to university. We want to expand the technical education, right?
Nice.
So these are some of the things that we will be doing. So,
Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmal on Sunday laid out a number of projects for the island of Legwan, which will altogether cost $70 million. Mr. Darmal was on a visit to the island with President Irfan Ali and other ministers.
Residents, Legwan is very important to us, and we have to provide investment in this island and on this island. Bishop, my colleague, just now mentioned many of the things that will happen. And from the standpoint of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, we will also be doing some critical investments in this island and on this island to enhance lives. I'd like to report to you that Garu Street is going to be done in the next 3 months. I'd also like to report to you that Henrietta Coca will also be done. I'd like to report to you that in the last 2 months of us being in government, via the direction of His Excellency, more than $22 million we have already paid over to the NDC to pay workers in Legwan. We have also, in the next few weeks, you will be receiving your subvention. You will also, that is $5 million, inclusive of Crusher Run to help to maintain the streets in Legwan. You will also receive at least, Mr. President, 50 street lights, solar street lights, so that you can brighten up Leg 1 and it will enhance your safety and security. In total, over the next 3 months, in addition to what the other ministries will be doing, we will provide up to an additional, $70 million in Leg 1 over the next 3 months. For those of you who are interested, many of our students have been out of school for very long. We will also be doing some renovation at the nursery school, and that is at the Endeavour Nursery School. So hopefully when school is reopened in the future, our students, our children are going to be accommodated in a much more enhanced environment. The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development is the critical link between our island and our government, and between our government and the people of Leg 1. So feel free to always make yourselves available to us, as we will make ourselves available to you. And I'd also like to announce to you that we will increase the complement of community enhancement workers on this island in the very near future. Those are people that you will be able to choose and determine, and you will also help us to manage them so that they can take care of the drains along the road shoulders and the amenities and facilities of this island.
More news after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching the newsroom. The government is courting both local and international investors for the sugar industry. Minister of Agriculture Sophia said this weekend as he toured estates in Berbice. The government is also looking to India to help revitalize the industry, and the minister took the Indian High Commissioner on the tour of the estates.
I am hoping that we can have help from India in terms of both personnel, technical personnel. I have already written to the High Commission of India, and they are looking at technical expertise to come and help us here at the factory level, and also I will be looking, asking them, requesting them to have technical experts coming here to help us in our cultivation. So both sides will be looking at technical experts from India to come and help us. He's very inclined in doing it, but we have to wait and see the result for those requests that we have made. Also, we are looking at a public-private partnership. We have already published in the newspaper expression of interest for these estates. Hopefully we can have the private sector coming on board, and I was very heartened this week that I had a meeting with the private sector commission and also the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, and they have expressed interest of investing in Gaisuku. So I am very optimistic that we can have the public-private partnership in Gaisuku. Not only the government alone will have to ensure that these factories keep running and keep the labor, and also ensure that we keep sugar alive, but the private sector, they are showing very, very keen interest of investing in Gaisuku locally, and hopefully we can have international partners come on stream too, so that they can invest in the industry. I am looking forward when the expression of interest is closed, we can have a number of companies express interest of investing in Gaisuku. So as I am speaking here right now, I am extremely happy that the commitments that we have made in our manifesto is now being realized slowly here, but very shortly we'll intensify it, and we'll have these operations on stream, coming on stream shortly. Sugar can be produced here, produced at Rosal by the end of 2021, and here at Skelden, they are looking at the first crop of 2022, if everything being equal. So I am very, very optimistic. I am very, very happy that these commitments and promises that were made by us when we were in opposition are coming to fruition now here at Skelden and at Rosal. Very shortly I will be visiting Enmore. I will invite the press and I will give you an update at Enmore. But as I am speaking, works are going on at Enmore Estate 2, and that estate we have started the packaging plant has started operation once again. So that is an exercise that has commenced immediately there, together with Blaymont and more. We can have packaged sugar being added to Gaisuku and bring more value to the production of Gaisuku. That is the eventual aim of Gaisuku, value-added product and diversification of the industry.
Minister of Education Priya Manichan Monday morning met with parents of students who wrote the National Grade 6 examination and were awarded a place at the incomplete Good Hope Secondary School at Good Hope on the east coast of Demerara. This meeting was aimed at discussing the way forward.
Because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to get the results of my son's school from them. I saw the results online. Can I use that to enroll him in the new school? Because I'm not sure how the teachers are going back to school to give out the results.
Yeah? Yes. But what we will do, what I'll have Red for do, is for these 195 children, we will walk you through this process, including say to whatever schools, Hope, these are the 5 children.
This is how they will register online, give you the Zoom passwords and whatever else you have to do. So there is less burden on you trying to find your way around that. So we'll deal with that shortly after Mr. Hudson.
The teachers cannot come home by you. What we need to do as parents is that these teachers send me the answers to each question that they send when they send it on WhatsApp. And they make certain, they say to us, keep these answers away from your children until the day I decided to work with them, and then you give it to them and let them make their corrections. We as parents, what we need to do is to be there for our children. Okay, some of us have to work, some of us may not work due to the pandemic. Some of us are home since March. But then at the same time, when we get home in the evening, if we want our children to have a proper education, we have to spend that time behind of them. We can't expect to have a teacher come home at us to teach our children. These teachers are making the sacrifice to go and have private internet, to come and spend that time with our children. And still we stand as parents to complain that the teachers are not making the enough appearance.
If you already have the names of your students, so it's very easy for us to just make sure we have
the right number next to each name so that we could engage you personally. I would ask you also to stay in touch with both the ministry's page, Facebook page. If we have any announcements, in addition to us calling you, we will post on that page regarding the students specifically for Good Hope. And we'll ask the region to post it on theirs also. They have a Facebook page also. So you can stay in touch with those 2 pages to find out, in addition to our personal call to you, what will happen. Because from what I'm hearing here, we missed some of you, and that is just the reality. The region's office seems to have missed some persons who didn't get calls and so on. But if you stayed in touch there, and we will try to put out public notices, then we could help each other to stay informed. And the direction we're going in is to have your children here placed in classrooms, not physical classrooms, but you know when school starts, you will be in 1A, you will be in 1B, you will be in 1C. And then we assign teachers, and that we actually begin teaching in 2 weeks' time for your students. Okay? That would be the way forward.
President Irfan Ali and several of his government ministers visited communities across the country this past weekend to sensitize citizens about the pandemic and to urge them to wear a mask and take other measures to protect themselves and their families. The president's first stop was at Skeldon on the Quarantine Coast.
The pandemic, COVID-19, is very serious. And I want to say to you all that you must protect yourselves and your families. You must follow the guidelines. You must wear a mask. You must sanitize. Especially younger folks who sometimes we believe that you're a bit stronger. But you must remember that yes, you're stronger, But when you go home, you have to go home sometime to your parents and grandparents. And if you are affected and you get them affected, then it becomes a major issue. So all I'm asking you to do, and all of Guyana to do, is to take this very seriously. As we move forward in the future, we have to learn to live and manage in a COVID environment. And that is why, as the government, we have to be out here. We have to educate people about the risk, and we have to also connect with the people of the country in a safe manner.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look what's happening in sport. We start things off with some news out of the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers have won a 17th NBA title, an expected title by many in the fraternity. Firstly, Tristan, you must be extremely ecstatic over that dominant performance and yet another title for your favorite team.
Of course, first of all, thank you for having us on the show, Akeem. But I thought it was a brilliant performance by the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm definitely happy that we have now tied Boston Celtics for 17 titles in the NBA. LeBron was phenomenal. AD was great. I thought the role players, especially playoff Rondo, played a very vital role in the Game 6 win. And, you know, I think we're going to repeat next year.
Jackman, what was it for you that was most impressive? The expectation at the end of Game 6, I guess with the Kobe attire, that was a big talk about them never losing. We were not a tire that they would have done it. It didn't happen. It happened in Game 6.
Well, what I think, first of all, it's really good to be on the show again. And indeed, I believe it was an inevitable win for the Lakers. And the major adjustment, I would say, is the insertion of Anthony Davis playing his natural position, which is 5. That opened the game and I believe delivered the knockout punch for us winning our 17th title.
You know, when you saw the LA were up heading into that fourth quarter, there was a start about them being at 56-0, just for the best in the league and heading into that fourth quarter. I guess even by then, you maybe start to pop with champagne Tristan to know that based on history and stats, there was no coming back for Heat in that situation.
Well, right now I'm still celebrating. As you can see, I'm in my Lakers jersey. But of course, I think it was definitely a great performance. 56-0 from the way the guys came out playing, very fast in transition, did not give Jimmy Butler a chance to get going from the defensive end. And of course, locking down some of the shooters of the Miami Heat and Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. I thought that was extremely important from the get-go to make that statement, and they played aggressively for the entirety of the game.
Not take away from the Herculean effort of Jimmy Butler for this season. Definitely, especially in these finals, definitely he would have had an end. And I think the adjustment that the Lakers made in terms of making it a faster-paced game definitely sapped his energy, and having made him work even harder by sending double teams at him. Definitely it was the one thing that kept him in check, and it did not open the game for the rest of the players. And that 56-0 record is amazing. And hey, it's Lakers. We're known for that.
No, but if you aren't those, I guess, organic King James fans, but you must be, I guess, applauding him for the effort he's put in. And also the fact that last year he said that he's going to deliver a title for Lakers, and he did it.
I think for me personally, what I realized in this finals run, this whole postseason run, us as Lakers fans, and I know Jackman might attest to this, we sometimes expect LeBron to be Kobe. He doesn't have that Kobe mentality. And what I realized, he makes the right plays, quote unquote, and we have to accept him for who he is and what he brings to the team and what he brings to the NBA, and, you know, go with it from there. But, you know, he doesn't have that type of mentality like Kobe, but he still brings a lot more to the game of basketball.
Yeah, in the rich heritage of Lakers, I believe many fans and lots of sports media make the huge mistake of comparing Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. I, as a Lakers fan and as well as a person that appreciates the game, LeBron James is a Magic Johnson who impacts the game entirely, and I believe he goes down with this win and with this performance and the MVP title, the consistency throughout this particular playoff series and this final. He goes into what I believe is the top two, clear of any player in the NBA with this performance. And as a Lakers fan, I'm appreciative that he's wearing the purple and gold and lifted our 17.
You know, the future of LA, at the post-match, LeBron spoke about the fact that he wanted to mentor Anthony Davis to become, all his potential. He wants to now, I guess, restart the Lakers dynasty. Are both of you are happy with the possible future of the Lakers, some more signings next season, or are you guys looking to, I guess, continue this dominance?
If I may go first, looking forward, because I was actually addressing it earlier today, I believe that the plan is correct in terms of restarting the Lakers dynasty, but we must take a few things into consideration: the cap room, our flexibility, the talent that is available, and we have to take into account the other teams that are preparing. Some teams like the Golden State Warriors that didn't make the playoffs this year, are regrouped or refurbished. Brooklyn, and those teams will be coming again, and I could look for the Clippers as well. But what I believe, we need to be smart in terms of someone like Victor Oladipo, who gives you points at the guard position, because regardless of the talent that is around, we need consistency, because that made it a major challenge throughout this season, and especially in the playoffs. We needed points at the guard position, and that took a real toll. We had to find ourselves searching and going. So if we get younger, talented, and a good guard where we can guarantee points, that will do well, not just for the franchise, but for Anthony Davis being the one that will take the mantle going forward for the LA Lakers.
We tell you now that executives of the Guyana Motor Racing and Sports Club, the GMRNSC, at the weekend met with the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Charles Ramson Jr., labeling the talks as fruitful since they were able to pitch their futuristic agenda to the new minister. The country's international airports reopened on Monday, and the club is hoping they can host one meet in November under extremely strict COVID-19 guidelines, possibly featuring some overseas competitors. Spectators would be barred from entering the South Dakota circuit, and only drivers who register by a deadline, which will soon be determined, will be allowed to participate. It is understood the GMRNSC would seek permission from the COVID-19 task force, who will then guide them on the necessary protocols to possibly gain approval. Since no spectators will be allowed, the plan is to live stream the event on social media platforms and national television. Additionally, the club is hopeful that discussions can be made to fully privatize the circuit, since part of it is used as a public road by truckers to access Timeri from the Linden-Soestdijk Highway. The club is also hopeful it can access a duty-free concession on race cars and the requisite car parts, but explained the duty-free concession would be granted to the club rather than individuals. And a brilliant knock from Avi de Villiers spurred Royal Challengers Bangalore to a comprehensive 82-run win over Kolkata Knight Riders in match 28 of the IPL on Monday in Sharjah. On a wicket that all batsmen struggled, including Virat Kohli, de Villiers was the standout, smashing 6 sixes and 5 fours in 73 of 33 balls. He dominated a century partnership with Kohli, who made 33 not out, as RCB posted 194 for 2. Openers Aaron Finch made 47 and Devdutt Padikkal 32. In reply, KKR struggled to 112 for 9, with only Shubman Gill getting among the runs with 34. Bowling for RCB, Washington Sundar and Chris Morris had 2 wickets each. With the win, RCB moved to third, level on points with the top 2 Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals, while KKR are fourth. Tomorrow it's Sunrisers Hyderabad against Chennai Super Kings from 10 hours in Dubai. And with that, we have come to the end of the news for this evening. My name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.